Another big win as Boston College basketball defeats Virginia Tech on Saturday. Women's basketball beats Miami, and men's hockey is still a mess. All of this and more on today's Locked On Boston College.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. Today's episode is brought to you by Sonos. Experience the game like never before with Sonos Arc, the premium smart soundbar for TV, movies, music, gaming, and more. Visit Sonos.com to learn more. On Saturday, Boston College basketball won their second of 3 ACC games, defeating Virginia Tech 68-63 in a very interesting game at Conti Forum. Of course, the big story of this game was James Karnik, who set a career high with 26 points, including scoring his 1,000th point of his college career. Boston College started off slow. It looked like it was going to be a game where the Eagles were going to fall behind and struggle. But again, this team is resilient. They continue to not give up. They continue to claw and fight. And they came back. And it was, a 9-point up to a 13-point deficit. They came back and basically James Karnik did most of it, but they come back and they make it within a shot at halftime. Second half, again, BC just continues to shoot well. They take a lead, and you see Karnik and then Makai Ashton-Langford. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But Karnik makes the big shots, and down the stretch, it was other players that were making the big moments. Now, Brevin Galloway was not in this game. He was out because of a knee injury, or, probably maintenance of his knee injury. So you didn't get to see him make a big shot. But there were other players on that roster that did big things down the stretch. TJ Bickerstaff had a couple big rebounds and hit a big free throw that Boston College needed to kind of secure the win. And Jaden Zachary had probably the play of the game where he made a nice contested backwards layup down in the stretch to seal the win. Now, as I mentioned before, Karnik had a big game, but it was also a Makai Ashton-Langford game. Makai Ashton-Langford's averaging almost 20 points a game over the last 3 games. He has really come in and found himself with this Boston College roster. It's really, really nice because over the last 2 years, he has really kind of not, you haven't really seen what you were hoping from him. He was kind of sporadic. He kind of, he was rushing his offense. He wasn't finding his shot. Basically, I felt like last season especially, it seemed like, Makai Ashton-Langford would just run and then put his head down and try to score. And it would cause lots of offensive fouls, turnovers, just poor play. Not anymore. He's aggressive, but it's a controlled aggressiveness, which is good. He's finding his shot. He's shooting from outside. He's all over the place, but in a good way. And especially these last 3 games, he has really become the leader on that offense. Even though Karnik was the leading scorer, consistently, Makai Ashton-Langford has taken on that role of that go-to scorer. When I thought all along it would have ended up as being his brother, which, according to Karnik after the game, I think some of the players are hoping that DeMar Langford would take more of a role. They're saying, he made a joke saying, if you guys see DeMar, tell him to shoot the ball more. Because I feel like he's a little bit hesitant right now. But I thought that was a funny little joke. Now, Karnik himself. Now, a lot of people, myself included, had to eat a little crow after this game, even though I put down Karnik as one of my keys of this game. A lot of people have written him off. He was not the biggest, transfer they had last year. He looked overwhelmed in some of those ACC games where some of the other big men were just kind of pushing him around. He'd disappear for long periods of time, he'd get in a trouble foul. When you have a game like this, when you go out there, and Virginia Tech had no answer to him. They couldn't stop him. And when you go out there and you do that after, a couple tough games, that shows you what kind of player James Karnik is, right? He's not a perfect player, but he, as you said, every game, it seems like another guy's jumping in to make their move. And as Brevin Galloway called him on Twitter, Karnik, a.k.a. Captain Canada, has really shut up a lot of haters with a game like this because you win against a 10-7 Virginia Tech team, a team on KenPom that was rated 40th in the country. That's a big win. That was a big win at home, and it really starts to build some momentum for this program. That now we're not even into February, and BC already has 3 ACC wins. This is only about, a month and a half into the ACC schedule, and a team that many projected would only win 0, one ACC game. I admit myself, I didn't expect them to win many, but to have 3 already, that really shows where this program is going. Now, as I've said all along, you don't need to expect this team, like after this game, they may go out and get blown out by Wake Forest, but then there'll be another good game. That's what you want to see. There's going to be peaks and valleys. Grant has said this all along. He's teaching his team how to win. He's teaching them winning game, like how to win as a team, how to make those winning plays. And you're starting to see more and more of it as BC now has 2 closing out wins in the last week with the win over Clemson and this win. So, these are games that former BC teams, this BC team would have, let slip away, but they're learning how to win. And this is going to cause some big wins for them. I mean, they've already got, a win over a decent Clemson team, a good win over Notre Dame, a decent win over Virginia Tech. What else will come for them? Now, they have a quick turnaround because they are playing tonight against Wake Forest. This is a game that was rescheduled because of a COVID pause. Now, originally, BC was supposed to forfeit this game under that stupid COVID rule where, a team that just tests and has positives has to forfeit the game. But now they, when the ACC changed their rules around that, they got Wake Forest back on the schedule. So it's a quick turnaround. They're going to have to head down to Winston-Salem on this one. So it's back on the road. And they have another road game, I believe, against UNC later on this week, too. So it's going to be a tough little stint here. And the health of Brevin Galloway is important. We'll have to see how this team reacts against a Wake Forest team that I believe is 13-4. They are very, very good. They're a very good team. Well coached by Steve Forbes, who was at Middle Tennessee, but has come to Wake Forest and revitalized a dormant giant. Remember, Wake Forest was a very good team for a while when they had the Tim Duncans and Chris Pauls. They've had some really good players go through that program. They hit a rough patch like Boston College, but I mean they have a bigger history. And Forbes is really showcasing that he belongs to be an ACC coach, and he's got a deep team with they just got another really good shooter back that they didn't expect to play this season, and they're going to be a hard team for BC to face. But I, at this point, there may be a few blowouts here and there for BC. I don't rule them out on anything. I wouldn't bet against BC in any of these games because they just seem to be playing with a good chip on their shoulder. They're having fun. I love watching those after the game locker room jam sessions or dance sessions they have with Earl Grant. Seems like the team is really gelled and they're cohesive. It's a fun team, and I think you're going to see more and more attention being paid to them. And it may not be this year, but next year when they get those 3 freshmen in there to build off of what they have now, watch out. I think this team's going to be a lot of fun, and Earl Grant really is building something at Boston College. Now, in a moment, we're going to talk about 2 teams heading in different directions, the women's basketball team and the hockey team. Stay tuned just to hear my thoughts on that. Hey Eagles fans, this is AJ Black with an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about, GetUpside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free GetUpside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Just use promo SCORE and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using GetUpside. Again, use that promo code SCORE to get 50 cents a gallon on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making as much as $200 to $300 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free GetUpside app and use promo code SCORE to get up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Let's start talking women's basketball, who are probably the most exciting team Boston College has on campus right now, as they are playing out of their minds. Now, women's basketball had a humongous win last week against Notre Dame. Notre Dame was a ranked team. I don't think we got a chance to talk about this on Friday's episode. They beat a ranked Notre Dame team, 17th, 19th in the country, 73-71 at home. Huge win. That was the game where Cam Schwartz scored 29 points. They just absolutely shot the lights out, and they got a ranked win. Then on Sunday, they go out and they beat a solid Miami team. Miami was right there with them. They were 10-7, a solid team. And Taylor Soule goes out and scores 20 points. Again, you're seeing Allie Timmerin had 15 points. So again, I've said this all along. This is a team that is balanced. It's a balanced team. So they don't get the attention of these teams like NC State, Louisville. They have these like high, superstar players that can just take over games. This is a team that has just good talent. Like Cam Schwartz, she's a good scorer. Taylor Soule is just a good physical forward who can do a whole bunch of things. You got Maria Gakdeng, who's an excellent defender. And then you have, some of these other pieces like Michaela Dickens, a three-point shooter. But look at where they're at right now. Look at what BC women's basketball has done this season, and you can't help but pay attention. They are 14-5. They are 5-3 in conference. They are playing the best basketball of their year so far. They are going to be a borderline top 25 team when the polls come out next week. Probably not going to make it, but they'll probably get some votes as well. But what you're going to see is when they start doing the women's, bracketology, I'm guessing they're going to either be in there or they're going to be right on the bubble at this point. Now, 14-5, I think they're going to be in, but we'll have to wait and see how that bracketology shakes out. So, again, Joanna McNamee is one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball. She is able to bring in good talent and make them great. Cam Schwartz was not the superstar that she is right now. I mean, scoring 29 points against Notre Dame, that is something that really should get a lot of people's attention, and she doesn't. But she gets, people who pay attention to ACC women's basketball know who she is, and a lot more people are going to know as she continues to build her resume and hit big shots. She hits big shots all over the place. She's fun to watch. As I said earlier, Maria Gakdeng, she has been freshman of the week for the ACC 4 times, probably be 5 this week, and this just changes the Maria Gakdeng Award. So you're seeing Joanna McNamee build a culture here. Last year was an off year, but this year they're getting right back on schedule and they're building with these younger players like Gakdeng and Timorin, and they got some other big ones coming up. But this season it's mirroring a lot of what we saw in 2020 when COVID shut down, when they were about to, they went on a huge run in the ACC tournament. I think they made it to the second to last round and then got knocked off in a good game. You're in a good conference and you're right there battling. And I think that's a real good testament to where women's basketball is. Now, it's going to get a lot harder because next game that they have is against Georgia Tech. They get to play the 18th ranked Georgia Tech team, the team that just beat the 20th ranked UNC team and held them to 38 points. A very good UNC team. So Georgia Tech is excellent on defense. Look at some of the scores that they've held teams to. This is going to be a tough game for Boston College because they've been 11-0 when they've scored 75 points or more. I don't believe Georgia Tech has let up 75 points this season. They have not. So that's going to be a real challenge because they're going to have to play good defense and they're going to have to be able to find their buckets. But mind you, Georgia Tech also has lost to Miami, the same Miami team BC just beat, and Miami held them to 45 points, excuse me. So it's a winnable game. It'd be a big one because that would be 2 straight top 25 wins for BC. That's really building a good resume. So hopefully when BC plays them on Wednesday, this will be a game, or Thursday, excuse me, a 7:00 game. This will be a game BC maybe could sneak in a big win. So that'll be something to watch. Now, let's turn the tables. Let's look at a team heading completely in the wrong direction. The men's hockey team. Now, I know men's hockey has really been it has been kind of the gold standard for BC sports. You had Jerry York. He's won a whole bunch of championships. They win Hockey East tournaments. It's hardware season all the time at Boston College men's hockey. But man, oh man, is this team struggling right now. They are now 10-10 with 4 ties. They are 5-7 in conference, and they're on a streak where they lost. Let's look at their games since the new year. They lost 5-4 to UConn. They got swept by UNH. They got absolutely annihilated by Notre Dame 8-2. They got smoked 7-0 by Providence, and then they tied in a shootout and lost. I mean, does that sound like a resume of a team that's going to be going anywhere? I mean, this at this point, they're just like the basketball team at this point, right? They have more talent on it. But they need to find something. They need to find something positive, and I don't know what that is. At the beginning of the season, it was McLaughlin, it was McBain, Nikita Nesarenko was playing well. I mean, the goaltending is awful. I mean, it just this week alone, they let up 15 goals on Friday and Wednesday. That's not going to win you anything. Like, if you're going to let up 8 goals to Notre Dame and 7 goals to Providence, who are you going to beat? And, they've got... The schedule does not get easier as the season goes on. They get Maine. Maine's not that great. Harvard, pretty good. They play them out well. And then they get, they've got UMass Lowell. UMass Lowell always plays BC well. And then you get Northeastern, UConn, Northeastern, BU, UMass. The way BC is playing, I wouldn't be surprised if they get 1-2 wins out of that. If they're going to keep playing the way they're playing, and they're losing guys to the Olympics, it's going to be this is going to be one of those seasons where you go, wow, I can't believe that was BC hockey, because they are not playing strong. They are not, they're getting blown out. I mean, yeah, Notre Dame's good and Providence is good, but no BC team should be losing 8-0, 8-2, 7-1, 7-0. Doesn't matter. They should not be letting up that many points. This is a team that's really bad right now. They're playing really poorly, and it's not looking good. So we'll have to see. Their next game is on Friday against Maine. They're going up to Orono. Hopefully they can pull off a win there, and then they go on Tuesday to Harvard. So we'll have to see what happens there. Now, in a moment, we'll get into all the news pieces for the weekend, including Steve Adasio finding another new job. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. So head on over to BetOnline, where the game starts. It's a new year and a new you, so make Built Bar part of your New Year's resolution. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar because it's 100% covered in chocolate and it is delicious. Why would you want to eat a boring protein bar that's chalky, waxy, and just gross when you can pick out a Built Bar and say, this is something I want to eat? Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to any other candy bar, and you're going to see why the Built Bar protein bar is exactly what you need in your day. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, Built Bars taste good and it's good for you. That way when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. And they have so many delicious flavors. Now they have the OG flavors like coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel mint brownie, and many more. Just check out their other offerings on the site. They have limited time offers that you will want to check out. So head on over to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Thank you to everyone who has made Locked On BC your first listen to every day, whether it's walking your dog, making breakfast, in the car on your way to work, or on your way back. Thank you all who have made this part of your daily routine. And if you haven't, I encourage you to. I give you brand new Boston College news 5 days a week, including interviews, guests, all sorts of good stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else in a daily format. Now, over the weekend, there was a lot of news. So let's get into the transfer portal first. Ezekiel Teed, I hope I get his name right, a wide receiver, entered the transfer portal. He was more of a scout team guy, so I don't think this is all that big of a deal. I know Jeff Halfley spoke really highly of him. He came here from Canada and was a quarterback. They moved him around all over the place to try to find him. And I know he really kind of opened some eyes with the staff during the spring, but really didn't really play all that much. But so good luck to him. Hopefully he finds a new spot in another system. Last week we reported Pete Thamel's news that Frank Signetti was going to head to Pitt. We had waited all week. He had not announced it officially, and then over the weekend he did. So he's heading on to Pitt. We have not heard any news about Boston College's offensive coordinator. Really haven't heard any buzz about it. Now, depending on who you talk to, you heard internal candidates, external candidates. I mean, no word yet. No real buzz about who they could be going after. So we'll have to wait and see. If there's any news, we will make sure to tell you first here at Locked On BC or at bcbulletin.com. So make sure to check out both to get all your information on who the next offensive coordinator will be. Now, speaking of ex-coaches at Boston College, let's look at Steve Adasio, who only took 2 weeks and he's already got a new job. Now, Steve Adasio was fired from Colorado State after 2 miserable seasons with the Rams, and he's now going to be Jimbo Fisher's offensive line coordinator at Texas A&M. Now, I know many of you are going to go, what? Why are they hiring this bozo? Now, off the field stuff excluded, I don't know what he's going to be like in that roster, in that locker room. I don't care. I'm just talking X's and O's here. Yes, if he was going to be a coach, a head coach, or an offensive coordinator anywhere, I would have said it was a bad move. He can't coach, as we've seen at Boston College, at Colorado State. He's not a good in-game coach. Offensive coordinator, I mean, you go back to Florida, but he had his hand into everything in the offensive coordinator side at BC too. So that would have been bad. What he can do, what Steve Adasio is good at, is coaching an offensive line. Now, I can make all sorts of jokes about him and make fun of his press conferences and joke all about him, but I cannot disrespect his work with the offensive lines. I mean, he's the guy that saw Zion Johnson at Davidson and brought him here to make him one of the best guards in the country. I mean, that's good, good eyeballing there. He brought in Chris Lindstrom. I know he was a legacy, but he made him one of the best guards in the country. I mean, whatever he did with the rest of the team doesn't matter if he's just coaching offensive lines. And he's going to get all sorts of blue chip recruits from Texas A&M, like, the top guys in the country. So you better believe Steve Adasio will be a good coach there. So, all the jokes aside, because I love to rip on him, I think this is a great move by Texas A&M. I think Jimbo Fisher knocked this out of the park. I think this was a great hire. And what he does on the recruiting trail will also be worth seeing, because I don't know how he's going to connect from that perspective, but I think he'll do pretty well. But we'll see how it handles there at Texas A&M. More football news over the weekend. The Green Bay Packers got knocked out, and 2 BC players got some bad news. First, before the game even started, Isaac Yiadom was released. Now, he was a cornerback from Boston College in the late 2010s, and he was traded all over the place. He started with the Broncos, went to the Giants, ended up at Green Bay this year. Got released. I'm sure Green Bay probably could have used him on some of that special team stuff that happened at the end of that game, but he's gone. And then A.J. Dillon, who played in the game and scored the only touchdown that Green Bay scored, also broke a rib. And so all my best wishes to A.J. That does not sound fun. So it sounded like even if Green Bay won that game, whether he played in the next game would have been kind of put up to question. So some bad news for BC sports there. And finally, a kind of a mixed sports news piece here, as Jalen Williams, a defensive back for Boston College, who was a freshman this year, had his first track meet. He apparently is now an athlete on the track and field team, and set a school record held for 20 years with a 6.91 and a 6.85 in the finals, finishing 4th in the battle in Beantown. Now, if you've listened to Jeff Hafley talk at press conferences, one of the things that he's stressed, especially on the defensive side, is speed. When you have a defensive back that can break records in track meets, that is a good sign. Now, I said on BCBulletin.com, it would be interesting to see BC has some space open at defensive back, with Brandon Sebastian going to the NFL and Sean Asbury transferring to Old Dominion. Now, the guys that are coming in after him, we don't know yet. And, Jalen Williams has speed, but maybe he's not good in coverage. I don't know. Practices have been basically closed, so it's hard to tell. But maybe he's a name to watch for this spring as someone that catches Jeff Hafley's attention. Regardless,